Welcome back to For the Love of Men podcast. My name is Courtney Shand, and I'm hosting with my dear friend Brianna Mosier.
Hi.
The intention of the show is to bring together men and women to create healthy, polarized relationship dynamics by learning how to honor each other's natural masculine and feminine energetic core. Before we dive in, I want to introduce you to myself and my friend Bri, and then the topic of today is something that is kind of a continuation of the conversation we've been having. We want to really highlight the top 3 archetypes that we see of masculine energy and how that expresses. Excuse me, everything from empowered masculine energy, which is what we talk about all the time, to the wounded masculine expression and even the wounded feminine expression of masculine energy. We've got some things to share about all 3 of those. So before we dive in, Bri, tell my friends who you are, what you do.
Yeah, my work in the world is helping really driven, high-achieving women who are very comfortable in their masculine energy or being super independent, and helping them reopen their hearts to love, attract healthier, more aligned partners, and of course, embrace their own feminine energy. So it's a lot of deep emotional healing, a lot of trauma work. And my background is also in sex, love, and intimacy. So often we're doing some work around kind of the divine feminine pleasure and sexuality and really expanding and exploring that. That is my work in the world. Your work is similar but different, as we always say.
Yes. I also bring a lot of feminine energy to my background, which is health. I'm a dietitian by training, so I bring a lot of the trauma-informed and nervous system work that I do with the generational impact that shows up in our body so that we can really release those emotions that we have historically kind of just inherited that allow us to express ourselves fully, both physically as health and also emotionally as being very connected and authentically available for romantic connections, friendships, healthy dynamics with our families, all of those things.
I'm excited about this episode, especially because we're gearing it toward the men. Yes.
We do love talking to the men in our episodes. So today we're talking, like I said, about the kind of 3 main archetypes, the ways that masculine energy will show up, whether it be empowered, wounded, or wounded feminine, wounded masculine or wounded feminine. We're going to kind of talk about all 3 of those so that you have an idea of what we're talking about.
And if you love this and you want support, Courtney has a program called Rooted for Men. If there's someone you want to learn healthy masculinity from, Courtney should be on that list, truly. So if you like it and you want the support, I think you said there were 2 categories that fit really well. And I'm sure you'll point those out. So if you identify with the things we're talking about on the show, Court will let you know, of course, when the time comes, if Rooted's a good solution.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. Yes. So let's dive in. Well, before we dive in, I want to just throw back to the episodes that we have done on wounded masculine and empowered masculine, which was number 4, our very first episodes. They are meaty episodes. They're like basically a paid course in podcast form.
Truly, they shouldn't be free, but they are. So
They
we'll
are.
leave them that way.
Alas, here we are. And then we did a whole episode on the nice guy energy, the nice guy dynamic, how that plays out when you're dating. We talk about threatening, non-threatening versus protector energy. Those are very different. And then we also have an episode on the nice guy dynamic. We have safety versus non-threatening, and then also the nice guy dynamic and how that plays out when you're dating. So,
and we have an episode on narcissism.
We do. We have a couple, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to, as we're going through these high level, if you want to deep dive them, the episodes to go back through are number 4, 35, 37, and then we'll have to look for the narcissistic one, but it was pretty recent. I would say last 20 episodes.
I think it was in the 60s, somewhere in the 60s range. Yes, great call out.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the nice guy.
Ooh,
I feel like men
are
often, at least in my experience, kind of confused by this energy of the nice guy. And it actually makes so much sense to me, especially, we've been talking a lot about how feminism has changed the dating landscape. So I think there's a lot more nice guy energy happening from a good place of, okay, I want to respect women. I want to honor women. I want to do right by them. But I'm noticing that the nice guy isn't winning. What do I do? Winning meaning like, building the meaningful connections and having that chemistry, things like that. So how can you approach it differently? So the concept that is so helpful to understand is safety versus non-threatening. This will unpack the nice guy for you and how you can shift it if you're in this category. Do you want to explain the difference? I feel like
Yes.
you're great at articulating this.
Thanks. So when we talk about the nice guy, the misconception is that if I am going to be nice to women, that it is either going to put me in the friend zone, or it's going to kind of like take any wind out of the like sexual sails heading in that direction. And that could not be sexual sails.
They're blowing.
Metaphor here. Just imagine. The reality is, as we talked about in the last couple episodes, and actually in all of our episodes, safety is like pivotal to sexual dynamics. If you are wanting more sexual energy, you have to learn how to master creating safety together. And as the masculine partner, a lot of times this will show up as men being the nice guy. Whatever you want, I'll do whatever you want. Where do you want to go? What would make you happy? I haven't gotten into the golden retriever energy, but I feel like that's probably what they're saying is like, if you want men to just fawn all over you, then be the black cat, right? I'm sure you have more to say about that. But for nice guys, the thing that we want to correct here is that there's a difference between creating safety with a woman and a non-threatening experience. We want to feel safe. Non-threatening is going to be, in a lot of ways, too passive for us to feel that you would step in as a protector if we needed you.
Write down.
Yes, we actually want safety from a protector, which will, and this is a little nuanced, but it is going to create a little bit of tension naturally, because we know that you have this powerful masculine energy at your ready whenever you need it. We want for it to not be directed at us in a aggressive way. And that, I feel like I've been talking for a while, so I'm going to pass this off to you. But there is a difference between being non-threatening and being like, yeah, whatever you want, I'll do whatever you want. I want to make sure that you're happy, and having some boundaries and having some ability to regulate your inner experience so that if you needed to step in and set a boundary, protect her physically, protect her emotionally, that you would be able and willing to do that. That's the difference as I see it, especially distinguishing between non-threatening and safety. Still requires boundaries to feel safe. We want to know that you can encapsulate us in your boundary if that's the case. Or to stand up and say, hey, no, this is not going to fly, and physically put a little, space between us and the potential threat.
Emotional, physical, whatever it is. I think that was so well said. And when men are questioning, like, well, why am I getting friend zoned? Why does she only see me as a friend? I am willing to bet 9 times out of 10 this is it. She sees you as non-threatening. She knows that you're not going to come for her. She knows she can talk to you like a friend. You're probably emotionally available. Like, there's so many good things about the nice guy. But the difference is you're non-threatening, but you're not a protector. That's what we're receiving, right? And we want to feel that energy, like Court was saying, of protection and containment, and knowing that if I don't have it, you definitely have got it. And I don't even have to have it because you've got it, that you're going to be there to protect from any sort of threat or whatever it might be. That's the discerning factor. And if you are in the nice guy category, I don't think it's as hard as you think it is to start shifting more into that, creating a real sense of safety and being that real protection energy. Because what I love about the nice guy is that the fundamental building blocks of being emotionally available, being kind, respecting women, being generous, being attuned, he's got all those. It gives me goosebumps as I talk about it. Like, that's amazing. And that is something that the other archetype we'll talk about later in the episode, the kind of wounded masculine, he could learn from you on that, because he needs that integration with more of his feminine energy that you already have integrated. So for you, the only ask is to start learning how to create safety and protection and bring that feeling out, create an environment of that feeling. Then you're golden. You're not in this nice guy finished last position. You're not stuck there. But there might be some deep dive work on maybe perhaps confidence or backbone or boundaries or speaking up or being seen, whatever that wound is that's keeping you from fully expressing that masculine protection energy. I'm curious, in your work with men, what do you find holds men back in the non-threatening category instead of the safety protector? What wounds are at play to keep a man out of that?
Yeah. Typically, I see that there is either historically a kind of power struggle between child and dad, or between mom and dad. There is this kind of like downstream effect, this impact of what masculine energy meant in the household that they will resist because they know what it feels like to be in that position. And they don't have any other context for masculine energy because the other parent in the house was the feminine energy parent. And so that is usually what I see, and it will have the men showing up more in their wounded feminine and saying things like, I can't quite move the date along, she's not interested in me, or they will choose partners that are long distance, that there's an automatic distance barrier for them so that they don't have to create this intimacy. It gets to be a intimacy on their terms, which they're great at emotional intimacy a lot of times. It is that like physical presence, real-time intimacy that is more of the challenge for this type of man. And that will often show up in more long distance type dynamics where they don't have to really bring that like strong presence. They can really play to their strengths, and yet they're really wanting something that is in person and real time and satisfying for them. And a lot of times long distance isn't going to be that for long.
So there's the emotional availability piece, but like you're saying, really grounding and having presence in the room, which relates back to that backbone feeling and the confidence. Yeah.
Yep. And it's not to say that these aren't naturally confident men, because a lot of times these men do great as leaders in their field. I work with a lot of coaches, teachers, therapists, very like generous, heart-centered individuals. And they do have that ability to lead in a professional context. It's the relational context that they feel like they don't quite have a model for what this looks like. And what I love working with them on is bringing those aspects to their relationship and giving them a feel for what that feels like in their visceral experience, so that they know, hey, this is the line. And I actually, one last thing, this particular person I think is very afraid of overdoing it, of squishing the other person. And to have kind of real-time feedback of like, no, you can bring more. No, I need a little more, a little more. No, okay, here's the line. This is when I started to feel what you're afraid of me feeling. And it's usually like they're way back here and I'm way over here. And I have to kind of like get them to come over here.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Which is the same with what we do with women, like the codependent feeling like, if I assert myself, I'm going to be the narcissist. And it's like, you're way over here. You've got plenty of room to, between you and narcissism, you got plenty of room. We can find ourselves in the happy middle here.
Like, you're way over here. No, and what Courtney's saying is when you're really codependent, setting a boundary feels like, oh my gosh, I'm too much.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm so bossy. I'm so aggressive, because there's such an aversion to it. So the nice guy is similar. Yeah, that's what you're saying. You have to kind of like, okay, keep coming. You've got a lot of slack here. Okay, right there. that feels
awesome. Stay
supportive.
There. Yes.
Yeah, and any more would feel like an overstep. So when you work with men, do you give them that feedback in sessions?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what the nice guy needs, is to know how he's being received by somebody who's going to really protect his heart and support him versus like, judging or shaming.
Yep.
Yeah. Ooh, if you struggle with this, you should work. I don't work with men yet. Courtney does. You should work with Courtney about this, because I can't imagine anything more healing than that, getting that real-time feedback, right? What else would you need? Then when you go on your date, all right, I'll come this close to her. I'll, these sorts of phrases, this sorts of initiation and letting her know I'm interested, but I'm not going to cross this line, because that is going to push me more into the, okay, he was giving too much. I needed some space. And I'm sure you teach attunement as a skill set in that.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Like really reading her energy, her body language.
Yep. There's a whole module on how the feminine expresses, so that you have some context of what normal is, which, as we talk about all the time, women express differently than men. And when men don't understand how women express, they have no context for what too much is, because they're using it through their lens. Honestly, a lot of times this guide needs less hand holding than he even might be afraid that he needs. He needs some information, because the part of you that needs to mature is the part that hasn't had any context in which to build on. You need some mental structure first. And I think this is what I love about working with men, actually, is that they do, women too, we need to understand logically how this fits in context before it starts to sink in, before we can practice the intuitive feeling, subjective parts of things. We have to understand how this fits in. And honestly, this particular guy, the nice guy, I think he gets the fastest results. Like within a month, he's like night and day difference.
I believe it.
New women coming in, new dates coming in, new level of confidence that he's feeling in every area of his life. His health picks up, his relationships at work are improving. He starts to see a different impact on his profession. His profession starts to flourish like quick.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Because once you have a little confidence of what's too much, what's not enough, you know the
You
line.
trust yourself.
Yeah.
And that trust is confidence building. When you don't have trust in yourself, it's hard to exude confidence. And confidence is the sexiest
Truly
thing you can put on.
Yep.
Just is.
Okay, well, I think all the nice guys are going to go join Rooted. It's a passive program, yeah?
Both. It is a passive program. Everything you need, you can get in the self-study, or you can partner with one-on-one work if you want that real-time feedback and to do some deep family level healing. This is like generational trauma healing, somatic-based work that is will shift things overnight.
I love that.
Yeah.
What an impressive. Also, can I just say, as a woman, it would be, go ahead, what cat is rogue on the table?
Yeah. Okay.
It would be so impressive. It is so impressive to me whenever I meet a man who can talk about generational trauma and healing and is aware of how to do that healing.
Yep.
That is one of the greenest flags, especially if you want to attract a woman who's also on that conscious healing journey and in her empowered feminine. Mm-hmm. This is the skill set that will put you, what's it called? A notch above the rest. Is that the phrase?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So good. Okay. Anything else on the nice guy? I think we've covered it. The biggest thing to remember is to create safety is different than to be non-threatening.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And if you can know that difference and know how to exude the safety and protector, you're golden.
Yep.
You're out of the nice guy finishes last category. It's not going to happen to you, my friend. You're going to finish first.
With a high quality level of woman.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
For real.
I will. Yeah.
Yes.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Who's next? The next archetype, and then we'll talk about the healthy masculine.
Next, we're talking about the wounded masculine. So this is wounded feminine. Nice guy is going to be wounded feminine. You can't feel him. He's not like present enough. He's very emotionally present, but still kind of like
flimsy,
waffly.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, I will cater to you. Whatever. Oh, I'm free that day. That's fine. Instead of having his own like, no, this is kind of me. You can see me. I've got boundaries enough where you can see where I end. I've got things going on in my life, love in my life, all those things. The wounded masculine is, I would say, your area of genius.
Why? Because I told everyone the last show that it was my previous kryptonite. Do I know the wounded masculine? I will say I've dated a lot more wounded masculine than I have nice guys. Not really dated a lot of nice guys. And my specialty, we'll talk about this next episode as well, is really working with women on breaking these attraction patterns. So if you're a woman listening out of curiosity and you find yourself stuck on nice guys or stuck on wounded masculine or narcissistic types, that is my zone of genius, is to help you break out of that pattern and start feeling attracted to and drawing in healthier, more empowered masculine partners. But I'll tell you from the experience side, being a woman sitting across from wounded masculine, so there's a spectrum, right? And again, go back to those episodes, especially episode 4 would be perfect for this to really understand it. So if we have, empowered masculine over here on the left, all the way on the right, the furthest end of wounded masculine is narcissistic, like full on NPD level of wounded masculine energy. Somewhere in the middle, you've got narcissistic traits, and then you've got some wounded masculine traits. And then I would say like the most mild form of wounded masculine is the emotionally unavailable or avoidant guy. And Courtney and I were talking before the show, it always irritates us when people group emotionally unavailable with narcissistic and even wounded masculine, because they're so different and they're in such different places of healing. They, emotionally avoidant, unavailable is very healable. All these things are, but you don't have that much work to do if you're in that place, But if you're in the narcissism camp, like all the way,
it's a trek.
Be honest, I just don't feel like you're going to make it up the mountain. Statistically speaking, narcissists don't generally recover because they lack a lot of empathy and self-reflection. So it's like almost impossible. It's a personality disorder. But narcissistic traits, shiftable.
Healable.
So what does it look like? The very beginning, mild end of wounded masculine, you're going to get things like being emotionally avoidant or emotionally unavailable, maybe a little bit controlling, a little bit like a bully, kind of critical. There's sort of a playing it big mentality. Like, I don't have any emotion. I'm tough. It's the macho, typical toxic masculinity we hear about. And it's largely because he's not integrated with what we would call feminine energy. So you've heard Court and I say so many times, to be a healthy partner, you have to have both energies online, right? The reason we can be in, more empowered feminine energy is because we also know how to set our boundaries and our masculine energies online with us, supporting our feminine. So for this guy, the wounded masculine, he's lacking a lot of feminine energy integration, his emotionality, his attunement, his connection to his feelings. Those things that in society, if you've been raised in that generation or by parents in that generation who tried to get you to be macho or act like a man or say things like boys don't cry, those are some really common wounds that lead to a man growing up as an adult being very shut off from his heart. Would you say anything else about that? Because I do want to talk about the felt experience, but any characteristics that you would add?
I would say the men that struggle with emotional unavailability, which again is kind of like the shallow end of the wounded masculine pool, or rooted would also be very appropriate for, because I do think that more of the avoidant tendencies have to do with your level of confidence in your skill. Confidence comes from competence in this particular area. And when you feel threatened, when you feel like your competence is threatened as a man, that is like going to send up an alarm bell, because that's how you've been raised, that like competence is the like order of the day. And you get to be competent in your own ability to handle emotions in a broader spectrum. So the men that struggle with some maybe avoidant leaning tendencies, this is where I think somatic work is brilliant for them, because when we can reduce the you just need a roadmap, honestly, and that's what I do in my program, is kind of give you a roadmap of what is normal emotional healing, emotional processing, what that looks like as a actual guided process and roadmap, so that you can again mentally start to understand how this works, kind of peer behind the curtain. And then we do that somatic work together one-on-one to heal the underlying resistance, that kind of fear or shame, some of those heavier emotions that will keep you from showing up fully confident in hearing and understanding emotions. And then once you understand your own emotions, how you can engage with other people's emotions naturally broadens. You start to feel a little bit more secure in having those kind of conversations. You feel a little bit more empowered in your ability to take things on, both at work and also in the interpersonal realm. Your relationships naturally start to improve because you're able to hear what they're actually saying, and you're not kind of in this locking of horns situation of she's communicating one way and you're not able to hear her. You can start to find that middle ground together, and I do see a lot of couples actually opening up and flourishing in that way as well.
So great.
Yeah,
also
very healable.
And we've done that 3-4 times, like say hair touches. Whoops,
we're attuned to each other.
We're
attuned to each other. A lot less work than you think. I don't know about you guys, but I actually love programs where it's like this huge ROI, because it's just this like minor skill set and way of seeing things that's a little bit off, like a half an inch to the left, and then you'd be right on target. That is what, for this emotionally unavailable personality and the nice guy dynamic, there's just a few things that are like the meat and potatoes is there. We just need to kind of like rearrange and fill things in, and you will be smooth sailing.
Well said. I do feel like this type of guy, the wounded masculine, in comparison to the nice guy, typically doesn't struggle with building chemistry with potential partners, and often kind of leads with that.
I'm glad you said that. Yes.
Yeah, because when you first meet them, they do have very big masculine energy. Shocker that it was so tempting for me for a while. They have very big energy, like, take up space. You can feel the backbone and the power. They're going to have no problem going into a confrontation. And that's actually the problem, is like, they might be too available for a confrontation. If a guy bumps into you, the type of person that would be like, you can't bump into my woman, and, I'm going to, whatever. I'm giving you a funny example. But they're very willing to step in and be the protector, and almost misattuned to when it's necessary, because typically I have found it's not about the situation. It's about a bunch of repressed emotions that are popping up to the surface. You know that saying, if you bump into someone holding a cup of water, water spills out. And if you bump into someone holding a cup of coffee, coffee spills out. Whenever you bump into someone, what's actually inside is what they reveal. Meaning, if I trigger Courtney and she starts yelling at me, that's her character, which it's not at all. Like, it's truly the opposite. If I irritate Courtney or trigger her, she's probably going to be like, I need to take a minute to feel into that. That's my friend. I love her so much. So when you're bumping into the wounded masculine, you're going to bump into the macho, I don't have a true sense of power, so I'm overextending it, right? I'm really almost compensating. And the felt experience being the other side of this, depending on how healed the woman herself is, when I was very much in my wounded feminine, I don't judge myself for, I'm just a teaching moment, it felt amazing. Mm-hmm. It felt like magnetism. It felt like, oh my gosh, he'll make decisions. He'll protect me, because I was lacking any real confidence, certainty in myself. I wasn't trusting myself as wounded feminine. Him trusting himself so much felt like safety. Okay. The more healing I did, the more turned off I became by that energy, because it reveals itself so quickly that you feel smushed in this energy. I felt tense. I felt anxious. I felt scared to bring things up. I felt like I was editing my words all the time. Even with emotionally avoidant people, I find that women still gravitate toward, well, what's the perfect way to say it? Because I don't want to shut him down. And it's like, that's his work. There's no perfect way you could say it, Yep. So sitting across at first felt like attraction, but eventually the more healed I was and have become, it is a big turnoff, said with love, because there's so much ego and it feels not real. It feels like hot air versus the empowered masculine, which we'll talk about. So it feels like lack of safety. It feels like pressure. It feels like I'm being smushed. Anything else you would add to that? How it feels? Does that feel true for you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely dated the emotionally unavailable guy. I was there for sure. The wounded, like the very narcissistic, I was like, I can't keep up with you. And I was probably so in my wounded feminine that I was like, I don't think I'm a good fit for you. Thank God.
That makes sense.
I opted out of like my own self-esteem issue at the time, but
oh, God, you're amazing. Back,
see ya. You got a lot going on, and clearly, looking back, I'm like, no, that was red flag.
Why is it you?
I would say that it does feel like the opposite of you. Like, oh, finally, all these things that I have been missing, here he is. You complete me. That feeling.
Truly.
That's what it feels like. Until you actually need to express a need or have an emotion that counters what they see as legitimate potential experience in that moment. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah. I find the wounded masculine really reveals himself when a woman sets a boundary or has a need or a feeling she wants to share. It will be very clear to you within your first couple interactions like that if this man is in his wounded masculine. Yep. If he's, if you tend to shut women down or dismiss their feelings or think this is a trivial thing and there's always something and blah, 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 like that's probably an indicator that you're in the wounded masculine camp. And on the mild, side of things, emotionally unavailable, wounded masculine, even a couple narcissistic traits, I think at that point, it's recoverable. You can absolutely come back to a healthy place. It's only when you get to the severe levels of truly diagnosable MPD that I would say, we just don't know. The outcomes are very undeterminable is the best way to say it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so rooted would be good for you if you were in that position too.
Yeah. Amazing.
I need to fidget. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
We gotta resituate here.
Resituate.
Yeah. Very fixable. Love that. Let's talk about.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's go there.
Let's do it. The empowered masculine. Dun dun dun. Dun dun. My phone storage. We were recording for TikTok, and it just told me I was full.
And this is going to be good TikTok content. That's okay. You guys on YouTube will get you'll get the tea. Here it is.
We'll chop it up and put it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Perfect.
Go ahead. Take it away. Empowered masculine.
Empowered masculine. You know what I will also say is that one of the biggest challenges for the nice guy, and even for the emotionally unavailable guy, is knowing the difference between empowered masculine energy and just like masculine energy. Because the way we teach it and the way that I teach it in that program is like you have the masculine to feminine spectrum. We have the wounded to empowered spectrum. They kind of create these little quadrants here. Mm-hmm. And the line in the middle here is the hardest for people to discern. I call this the human line. That's not a secret, but the human line here is the hardest for people to discern. They will be much easier. They will much more easily bunch themselves in all one or all the other. It's this gray area that is the subjective, like the more you trust yourself, the more you can lean in and kind of feel out where that gray area is. I would say this is where most men struggle, and I think that's why they get such a good turnaround, is just when they can identify that actual line and trust themselves in it. Boom. They find themselves actually in the empowered masculine camp way more often than they realize. The empowered masculine is that integrated, wholehearted, sturdy presence kind of person that you do feel his presence. He's confident, but not in your face confident. There's no need to be in your face confident when you're sure of who you are. You're just like, yeah, this is me. You can see me. I will, I have enough boundaries that you can see me. I'm not hiding anything. Just is what it is.
Something I've noticed about the empowered masculine is he's not going to use terms like alpha male.
Yeah.
Like if someone says alpha male, you're probably in wounded masculine, because it's so preoccupied with power, right? Yep. That's what's underneath it. Is like, who's the leader? Who's the boss? Empowered masculine is not concerned with that. He's mostly concerned with what is right, what is integrous, what is just. How can I, care for or make sure I'm taking care of the needs of everyone in the environment? You know who's a great character example of empowered masculine?
Tell me.
Jack from This Is Us.
Oh.
The famous dad.
There are a lot of good. I love This Is Us.
Me too.
Wept. There are so many good EM examples of Jack.
Actually, so many. Randall is very EM.
Randall is
Toby
very
EM. Toby's a good example of the nice guy who turned to an EM.
Yes.
Oh, I have goosebumps. This will be our new reference. We were going to do Bridgerton, but no, I've not seen all the episodes.
Okay.
I've not seen them all. So if you're a man, you want to see examples of this.
Yeah.
And what I want you to notice is that they all also have issues.
Yes, I love that. Yep, keep going.
Yep, keep going. They're not perfect people, right? Jack, the character, has a drinking problem. Toby, very much nice guy, struggles with mental health, Randall, perfectionist. If he were a girl, he would be my ideal client. That's the woman I love to work with, the high-achieving perfectionist. He's also maybe my favorite character.
Oh, 100%.
William, his dad, very empowered masculine,
Yes.
So, and the energy that you feel from empowered masculine is protected and safe, but it is not overbearing. It's like they're going to hold the structure. They'll take the lead when needed, but they have attunement skills. meaning they're in touch with their own emotions so they can connect with any person of any genders emotions and assess, okay, what's going on here and what's the best solution? What's the plan that we need, right? How's everybody, is there something I can fix, provide, protect? They're emotionally available, and it's like they get the best of the nice guy and the best of the wounded masculine. The honey of empowered masculine is the safety they create. And the more empowered a woman is, the more attracted she will be to this type of man, because she knows the chemistry is available, but your nervous system's going to be regulated around him. You can trust him. You can count on him. He's reliable. He says what he means. He's rooted in honesty and truth and loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, ask me how much I love empowered masculine energy. It's so great, right? It's the best thing.
Yes.
Whether it's even in a partner or a brother, a father, whatever it might be, to be around a man who is in that human to empowered spectrum, things feel easy. They feel flowing. They feel like if there's an issue, you solve it together quickly. There's not a lot of drama. We should do another episode discerning for women as well, like the wounded feminine, the wounded masculine, and the empowered feminine. You know what I mean?
I'm just going to make
note taking.
So
so that's what it feels like to be around empowered masculine. And what else about it?
I love that you brought that up, because I was going to say early in our episodes, we were pretty clear about like very tangible examples. And as we have done our own healing and our own shifts, it's easier for us to talk in nuance now, because humans are humans. They still get to be humans. They don't have to be this like god of a person that's flawless and never messes up. It is very much in the mindset and the way that you approach situations that's going to be what we always say. The actions can be the same, the energy is different, and you get different results as a result of the energy, not the action. And if you are in your empowered masculine energy, it really doesn't matter what you do. Kind of like the empowered feminine. Like, I'm sure you tell your clients too, like, it really doesn't matter what you do when you're empowered feminine. Like, you can call them, you can text them, triple text, you can like call them at 2 a.m. just to get some reassurance. Like when you're coming from that empowered energy,
and when you're coming from the wounded, it's received very differently.
It
the
also
2
doesn't
a.m.
matter
call.
what you're doing. You could be the most like proper, like following all the rules, only sending the scripts, the drag and drop scripts that you
It would feel so good to see you. And then she's like,
panic.
What if he says no?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the difference, right? Versus the empowered feminine's going to sit with it, get clean about it. Okay, yeah, I'm okay with rejection. I'm okay with this. I'd really like to see him. It's not about me. There's a totally different thought process happening. Sorry, I hijacked you.
That's it. No, that's, yeah, that is absolutely it. So the empowered masculine is going to be the one that is able to be with both me and you, that we are both okay. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to find a win-win here. It is a very like neutralizing energy, not in a like wet blanket neutralizing, but in a like, you don't need to freak out around him, because he is smart and capable. He comes up with really good solutions. He includes your feelings and your needs in the solutions. He's like surveying the situation and seeing like what is needed here, and responding accordingly. It's a very like present, grounded energy. All that front brain turned on, like executive functioning. We've got it.
Problem solving.
Triggers minimum. We can handle them.
And if triggers come up, he knows how to handle himself. I would say the same to women. When I still have triggers, I'm sure you still have triggers.
No, I don't. Joking.
Well, if you weren't perfect like Courtney, I still have triggers.
I do.
I know. But how I lead myself is really different now that I've done, more work. And it's not always perfect by any means, but it is certainly not, the drama filled that it used to be, like the consumption of it. So empowered masculine is going to notice that trigger, but he's not going to, go into those coping mechanisms that he knows aren't healthy. He's going to lead himself differently. Mm-hmm. This is not a superhero type of person. This is a real person who's just leading himself differently.
Well said.
Right?
You don't need a cape when you know the roadmap. Like, you just do get to be fully human as a man.
And actually, I think that's part of what allows them to be an empowered masculine, because wounded masculine tend to think there's no space for humanness, which is what causes them to play it big so much,
And shut yours down.
Yes. Yeah. So that grace and the compassion for yourself, the more that you work on that, you're going to start speaking to other people that way too, because you've embodied it on your own. And that's going to be really attractive quality when you're out, dating, looking for your person.
100%.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to be across from an EM?
It feels easy.
Yeah.
It feels like I get to express.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say the wrong thing.
Yes.
I can't say the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to say the wrong thing, it would be met with, what did you mean by that? Or like, can you help me understand? Or it's interesting you said that. Like, I might be misinterpreting you. There's always a benefit of the doubt, because there's not this urgency or quick to trigger, because he's a little more regulated typically. So it feels very grounding. It feels supportive. It feels like how the phrase, don't worry, I've got it, would feel if it could be an energy, right?
Even just hearing it, my body's like,
yes, we also need to do an episode again on phrases women love to hear, because I feel like we're going to have some new ones now. But
yep.
It feels very protective and safe at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Grounding, especially in emotional moments. It is just all that, you described it once as if you had a lightning rod and you'd put it in the ground, right? That's what it feels like. All of that just, you're going to be heard, you're attuned to. And if it's a viable dating prospect, it feels like attraction. It feels like, okay, I know we're going to take this slow because we're both grounded people, but my body is signaling otherwise.
But my body knows.
My body knows that you're safe.
That it is safe. Yeah.
And what does the feminine need? Safe, seen, and heard. But you have to actually mean it. If you perform that, it will backfire. Every time. Mm-hmm. So once you're grounded, you're naturally going to end up doing those things. What does it feel like for you to be across from an EM?
Literally, I was just thinking, you just can't mess up.
You just can't mess up.
You, like any anxiety, like I really used to struggle with anxiety. The anxiety is not present anymore. That lightning rod analogy is perfect, because any of the like static anxiety that you would be feeling is just like not there. And whatever you say is like, oh, that was the perfect thing to say. Wow. Yeah. You feel like $1 million because you literally cannot put the wrong foot out there. Like, it feels like curiosity and acceptance, and like a genuine interest in my experience, my well-being, my inner world, the experience that we're creating together. It just feels like an equal matching.
Ooh, and he's very present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good feeling.
Not a bad one.
It is not a bad feeling. And I love that you said that, because I think that a lot of guys have a fear of, if they are wanting to create some chemistry with a woman, that they either need to please her so that she will come towards them, or they need to be this like bravado kind of guy so that she will be attracted to them. And we're saying that neither of those is, in the long run, the road that you want to take, because it will fizzle out. There will be emotions that come up in both of those paths that, if you aren't able to handle them on your own and bring them to that partnership, it will create this implosion, either resentment or equal resentment of the humanness that needs to be available. You do have to be able to like hold enough unknown uncertainty human experiences to create that sense of sturdy safety that a woman, an empowered feminine woman, needs to express more. You want the depth of her? Lay the foundation.
I was just thinking about that, how there's it's a hard quality to describe, but being around an empowered masculine man actually feels like true freedom for expression. Like any side of yourself is going to be celebrated. You're the more empowered and safe and connected he is, the more you build that connection, especially if you're already this man and you're in partnership. That creates the most space for her to explore her sexuality, her sensuality, her pleasure, her emotionality, how silly and goofy and uninhibited she is. If she dances around the house with you, or if she feels like she has to be very stiff and controlled, you're going to get, like Courtney's saying, a full feminine expression that I know you love so much by embodying this energy. And more importantly, you are probably going to feel your best, because you're going to feel grounded. Your emotional stuff, you're going to know how to feel it, lead yourself, be with it, right? Life gets to be a lot more fun, peaceful, easy flowing when you do this inner work on yourself. And I would say the same thing to women that I coach. I probably have said it, honestly, more than I've said any of the phrase in my life. Heal your relationship with yourself, and you will heal your relationships with other people. That's always where the leak is. So it might feel like you're doing it for dating purposes. Sure, if you need that as an incentive, do it. But also do it for you. That's going to be what surprises you, is how happy and grounded and safe and secure and enjoyable you get to, be within yourself and in with life. Yes. I don't know if that was the best phrasing, but you know what I meant.
Yes.
Yeah.
You deserve to experience that inner feeling, even if there's not a partner on the other side of it. Like, would it be so, like, worst case scenario here, would it be so bad
to catch a queen
to feel happy, free, light, able to handle any situation, take healthy risks, really see what you're made of, experience the full spectrum of life? Like, at that point, really, a partner is a cherry on top.
As they should be.
As they should be. But, like, that is the basis of things.
Yeah.
You got to have this groundwork in place so that it creates a right relationship dynamic too.
Amazing.
So good.
The last point I think is so important for this episode. We've shared this many times. Your relationship as a man to your own feminine energy is going to reflect in your relationship to feminine beings out here. The same way that for women, her relationship to her own masculine energy is going to reflect in her dynamics with masculine energy out here. So if you're a man who's like very much in his wounded masculine, not integrated with his feminine, you probably are going to find it very difficult to build strong, truly strong, healthy connections with women. It's going to feel difficult, I would venture to say, forever. You'll probably I can't make this prediction, but most likely you would end up with someone very wounded feminine, who's not going to stand up to you, but you're both going to be living in dysfunction and unhappy. If you're in more of the dynamic of being the nice guy and you're not integrated with your own masculine energy, right, that's going to show up probably in your relationship with men, number one, but also it is going to impact your relationship with women, because the polarity is what creates the chemistry, the pull of feminine and masculine doing this. That's what creates that tension. That's what makes you feel like, oh my God, she's so amazing and expressive and playful, and she's so feminine. I'm just so drawn into her, right? We feel that way around empowered masculine. Oh my God, he's so grounded. He's so, look at him providing and solving the problems. And I didn't even ask him to do this, Courtney. He just did it, and he took care of it. And he noticed I was tense, and he just started rubbing my back, and it was just amazing. Like, that provider taking care of energy, we feel that pull too. So if you're in the nice guy camp, you're more in your feminine, she's in her feminine. That is why you get friend zoned, because it's like, oh, two girls hanging out is kind of the feeling that happens. But it's a very easy shift if you integrate your masculine to start. I just feel like the nice guy has so much leverage.
Oh, like
He's in such a better spot than society makes him think he is, because the second that masculine energy comes online for you, boy,
Look out.
they're going to be piranhas, because you're already emotionally in tune and caring and typically have integrity, like
Yep.
partnership qualities, some of which feels like you can't always teach, they're like in him, baked.
I was literally going to say, like, you have what we need. You've got all of the, like, the things that are innate to you that you have been hiding and thinking are the defect parts are what women are looking for.
Yep.
The reason they're not working for your situation is exactly what you said. We have to integrate both the masculine and the feminine for you to be felt by her as the sturdy, safe protector energy.
Mm-hmm.
That energy, I guarantee you're like a half step off. That's it.
Yeah.
A half step.
I hope so many of the people who feel like they're nice guys find this episode.
Me too.
Because this is, I think, a very unique perspective. Society teaches the opposite, and I hope this empowers you, especially hearing it from two women who've been across from nice guys, right? Like, you're already, we just need a little bit more sturdiness.
Yep.
A little more confidence.
Yep. Yeah. I love that we're talking about this, because I do hate the terms alpha and beta as they pertain to men, because men are the ones who are creating that hierarchy. It's a very, like, women don't think he's really beta.
The patriarchy hurts men just as much as it hurts women.
Okay? I mean,
we'll do a whole episode on that someday, but that is one of the biggest lies, isn't it? That
yes.
The patriarchy only hurts women. It also is very painful for men. So go on.
Yes. But because you are buying into that, you're either, and we hear this all the time in the comments, that you feel like if you are genuinely a nice person who would make an amazing partner, that you are somehow the simp, the beta, the like undesirable, like cast out version. And please hear us say that, like, you have what we need. We just have to rearrange just a smidge, and then it is going to be smooth sailing. Rooted.
You just need some roots.
Truly. That is actually it.
You just need some stronger roots. I know someone who can help you with that.
Like me.
And for the women,
energy.
Me, I can do it. Me. The solo high five. Oh, it gets me. When we do our, sorry, go on.
One more thing, going back to this changes the relationship that you have with every female in your life. Peace is huge, because if you are a single parent, if you have children, if you're in a partnership, awesome. If you have children, if you have daughters, if you work with women, so basically like everyone, all men, you're going to bump into women, and you deserve to know how we operate so that you can have the best of you reflected. We just have to change the reflection, honestly. And I say this to women too. If you can't see yourself clearly, we have to change the reflection, the loop that you're getting, so that it sinks in, so that you're seeing yourself actually clearly, instead of that simp beta type reflection that you have been getting from the wrong crowd, that you have been getting, which isn't true. We just need to shift a half inch so that you start getting a different reflection. And once you do it, your confidence skyrockets. Because it's you. You're getting to see yourself finally.
I bet you that reflection of, oh, the nice guy is a simp comes from the wounded masculine guy.
100%.
I mean, they're at war with each other,
100%. Because it is a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
If I can't win, you have to lose.
That's how it's viewed.
Yes. Yeah. For the wounded masculine camp, if I can't be the like top dog, then you for sure need to be below me, because then I, at least in comparison, am a higher rank than you. Anyways.
Just a wounded belief system.
Yes.
That's all.
Yep. Okay, continue.
I hope the wounded masculine does some work too, because I do think it's going to be progressively harder for him to be successful in dating as feminism continues to change the landscape of dating. I would just really recommend, if you identify with that, like, maybe the most important thing to invest in is healing that, if you want to have a really beautiful, successful, family that you love and that loves you. And you deserve that. You don't deserve to be cut off from your emotions and not have any intimate relationships your whole life, you know?
Or be overwhelmed by them.
Yes. And relationship is a skill set. We all have stuff. You can learn this, right? Court always says this phrase, everything is a skill. She's got good empowered masculine energy, if you can't tell. And that's how I would invite you to think about it too, is okay, well, relationships and intimacy are a skill set. So where can I find those skill sets? And then we would just maybe say like, over here. We have some master classes that would really help you. There's one on navigating your triggers, I think would be great if you're identifying with wounded masculine. What she needs emotionally and how to provide it is also 90-minute training. They're both about 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the investment for each one is what, 50 to 100 bucks?
Yeah.
I mean, it's less than therapy session and
Truly.
you're getting it straight. So if you resonate with this episode, that is the solution to go buy. We'll put the link in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And if you want Rooted, CourtneyShand.com, or you can email her.
Mm-hmm.
Courtney Shand at
Courtney_Shand is my social. Courtney.
What's your email?
C Shand Nutrition @gmail.
Got you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My brain was like, I
don't talk about my email.
Don't know her email.
There's a write-in spot on my email. I mean, on my website.
Got you. Application.
CourtneyShand.com/rooted. That will be the information that you need.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. If you want to follow us on socials, please do. For the Love of Men podcast is our TikTok. That'll ramp up soon. We have the For the Love of Men podcast on Instagram. And then my personals are Building Bri Coaching on Instagram and Building Bri on TikTok. Courtney's
Courtney_Shand everywhere.
She makes it easy. So if you have questions, feedback on this, feel free to write into the show. We love to hear from you. We read all the comments on YouTube. And we'd love to do a Q&A episode. So make sure you submit those questions so we can really support you anonymously.
Yes.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.